Okay, let's see. We should have sound, and there should be me. Oh, I'm looking dark again. Oh, I'm all right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this 52 minutes live stream, I think number 30. And it's Sunday. I believe the sun might be shining outside in lovely Stockholm. Admittedly, I'm in a bunker, so I've got no idea. But I hope you're having a good Sunday. Who's in the chat? We've got Phil. Long time no see, Phil. I remember you sort of fell asleep last time, I think. And Calamac, I just returned from tending the cows. I didn't know you had cows. Is that your job or just your hobby? I'm curious. Clyde Dashing, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Sunday, 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 Monster Bot Sunday, indeed. Bit slight anxiety about the bots, but we'll get to that. Hello, Benjamin. Lowridge, how are you doing? Isaac, hello. Hope you're doing well, Isaac. And Marcus Stratus, good morning or whatever. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon over here in the sunny bunker. Benjamin's got a cloudy Sunday in Michigan. Nice. I'm just hoping for spring, you know. I have to hope for a bit longer, I believe. Magpie, good afternoon. Cloud Dashing says you need a bunker periscope to see outside the sun. Yeah, I can also just because we now live in the modern ages, I can just ask Siri. Hey Siri, what's the weather like outside?
It's currently cloudy and 1 degree. Today's high will be 2 and the low will be -5 degrees.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
She's Irish. I don't know why. Mark from Montana, how you doing? Good morning from New Jersey. Meeting the new grandson. Ooh, lovely. Congratulations, I guess. Was that? I was going to say, was that a surprise? The kid just came from nowhere. Usually doesn't happen. Is it a fresh offspring yeah? Anyhow, congratulations, and congratulations to the family. Robert Scherzer, sunny greetings from Vienna. Yeah, I hear spring is coming down south in Europe. A bit jealous about that. Alison says, good time zone, everyone. Yes, happy time zone. Calamex says, yeah, I'm a farmer by day and Grey Slayer when I have the time. Nice. I guess if you're a farmer and you have cows, you have quite a few of them. Rise Stevenson. Hey, what's a bash bot? I can get into that a bit later on when we've had time to have a chat, but it's essentially building a robot out of whatever, really. In theory, trash, but bash as in kit bash, and bot as in robot. I've got a piece of paper here that I can show you a bit later on. But that was given to me from Bill Making Stuff. He hasn't got a bunker. He's got like an addict. He's not an addict. I think he's addicted to superglue maybe and baking soda. But what do you know? He's up top. I'm down below. Not in the same house, but yeah. Adam from Calgary, Canada, 8 a.m. How are you doing? And ZomboDB, good to see you. Greetings. And Roberto, hello. How are you? Nick Butler, good afternoon from sunny 3 p.m. in Sussex. Currently slap-topping my way through Mantic Games' Mars Attacks. Is that like Mars Attacks as in that old film, Mars Attacks? I'm terribly uninformed usually when it comes to games in general. But so the only Mars Attacks I can think of is like that old film. Soviet Bear, good morning. Clyde Dashing says fancy sci-fi bunker. Yeah, it's I've installed flashing lights because you can't have a bunker without like flickering light bulbs. So I've installed some. Tad says greetings from Redwood Forests of Central California. Greetings. Crazy Horse, how are you doing? Yes, I'm glad to see so many patrons here. We're a bit later on. We're going to have a bit of a raffle. There's some giveaways for patrons, and so this is the most exciting and easiest way of doing the raffle is through a live stream. But we'll get to that later on. So there's two giveaways to give away. Mark from Montana says 4 weeks old. Kieran is his name. My daughter and son-in-law's first, and my first grandchild. Oh, it's your first grandchild. It's going to be a spoiled little Kieran, isn't it? Look, Granddaddy bought more little plastic toy soldiers for you. Here's your first set of pants. Eric Brown from North Carolina. Good evening to you too, or good day. Nick says, yes, Mars Attacks, an old tabletop skirmish minigame based on the film, was based on the Bubblegum cartoon series, indeed, with the very sort of brainy aliens. Giles, hello everyone, greetings from Switzerland, where everyone but me seems to be on the road back from holidays. Also, you've had like some kind of winter holidays. We've got something like that coming up in a couple of weeks. Yeah, time flies. It's like it was just Christmas. When am I supposed to have time to like work and make YouTube videos when people keep on shutting the schools down because it's supposed to be holidays every time, all the time? Can't the kids just, stay in school and learn things? Calamac says, 52 minutes. Do you like coffee? I would like to send you from here, Chiapas, Mexico. Yes, I'll say yes, please, Calamac. So the Nordic countries are rather famous for drinking a lot of coffee. Not necessarily the best coffee, but I think Finland is top in the world of drinking the most amount of coffee per person, and Sweden is like somewhere up there as well, 2 or 3. Essentially, what people do when they work is drink coffee. I've like I go up and down with the coffee. The past year, my stomach has been like, no, you could have skipped the 12th cup today. So recently I haven't been drinking much coffee, but I drink coffee at home on like the weekends and stuff like that, but not much at work. So here I stick to my PG Tips, which is terrible tea, but I love it. So please, Calamac, if you want to send me coffee, I'd be delighted. Clyde Dashing says, what an absolutely cracking old Orky painting video you dropped the other day. Highly recommend for others that haven't seen it. Yes, and also please press the like button. There's 63 of you, but only 22 thumbs up. It helps the algorithm spread to other people right now on the internet that this live stream is actually happening. Otherwise, YouTube won't show it to them, which is weird, but that's just the way. And thank you, Clyde. I had tons of fun painting that little orc. Where is it? Oh, I think it's in the cupboard. I really like the old sculpts. Probably nostalgia, but there's something about them that I just like it. And the video, unfortunately, has been performing terribly. I was hoping for the opposite, because all of a sudden people are making lots of videos on the old world, and so I thought, well, I could do something like that. But maybe it's just the creators around thinking that people want to see things about the old world, where in fact, it's still just Space Marines for the win. I don't know, but it's been performing a lot worse than I thought it would have, which is, yeah. Let's not talk about YouTube that much, but I appreciate that you like the video. I just had so much fun painting that orc. There's more things in that box that I really want to paint. I've actually been sort of trying to look through, because as some of you may know, I'm working on a gaming table for this, well, for any game really, but the inspiration come from this game, which is called The War Transformed. And eventually I'll be have to working on armies and stuff like that. But there's also so it's like weird World War One, and you have witches. Apart from your regular troops and stuff, that you have witches, and they can summon creatures. So I realized I need some creatures, just weird creatures. I can pretty much do anything I want. There's the descriptions are very vague. There's beguiler, strange, fragile creatures that inhabit bogs and swamps and streams and pools. They often take the form of beautiful youth. Okay, goblins are off the menu. Blah, blah. There's haunters, which is like wild spirits, ghosts, stuff like that. I think there's prowlers, huge beast, alike in shape to the material creatures they resemble, but of considerably larger size. And I was thinking, well, maybe that could be beastmen. I've got some old Warhammer beastmen. Could paint them up and use them in a War Transform, maybe. There's Devourers as well, which is, I don't know. I could pretty much. So, and I was thinking maybe I could find some things in that old Warhammer box and paint them up to be able to use them as manifestations in a War Transformed, just to get another chance to paint some more old miniatures. But the orc was fun, and I'm glad you liked it, Clyde. Dragonfire says, good morning from Quebec. Good morning. Mark Montana says, I'll have him painting little soldiers next year if his folks approve. That's good. It's like finger painting. Just don't eat the paint. Numi. Hello, Numi. How are you doing? Asks, love your stuff. Do you multi-stream this over Twitch or just YouTube? Love from Helsingfors. I just stream on YouTube, honestly. I've never really been on Twitch. Like, I don't even watch things on Twitch. I think for me, this whole making videos for YouTube is, all in all, kind of rather overwhelming in terms of all the other things apart from making videos. There's, tons of admin and writing emails and answering comments and answering emails from viewers and trying to figure out potential sponsors and people asking for painting guides or tips and tricks and all. There's a lot of stuff going on apart from making the videos. And I pretty early on, I was, a few years back when people started getting onto Twitch, I was like, maybe I should also do Twitch. And then I thought to myself, no, Alex, you're already kind of overwhelmed. Just stick to YouTube. And so I'm just sticking to YouTube. And I know you can sort of multi-stream, but I just, if there was money involved so I could have people helping me out, set these things up, fine. But essentially, I'm just a hobbyist, and I kind of, also enjoy making videos. That's kind of where it stops. And so dealing with all these different platforms and things is just kind of stresses me out and takes a lot of time. So I've decided to just stick to YouTube when live streaming. Jamie Mayers, how are you doing? Afternoon all. Cleaning and basing some Andrew May Bosch minis while watching. I realized in a recent video that your Bosch Taschen is bigger than mine. I'd pretend I'm jealous. The book, that's a good book. So for those of you that don't know, there's a guy who sculpts miniatures called Andrew May, and he did some miniatures based off of Hieronymus Bosch, a painter, medieval painter who painted a lot of things for, I guess he was commissioned by the church, I guess the Catholic Church back then. Paintings of hell and all these, they're really weird. And I love them. And so obviously I ordered the miniatures as well. It was a Kickstarter. Jamie has bought them as well. I've also got a big book at home from Taschen, which is like a big, thick tome on Hieronymus Bosch's paintings. I'm sure that's going to be a reoccurring thing that shows up in videos every now and again on inspiration from paints and schemes and weird things. Good morning, Sean. Says Finland also has great symphonic metal. Well, there you go. Maybe it's the coffee. Numi says, would you consider adopting me so I can be a cellar goblin in your hobby space and use all your nifty tools and supplies? Synonymous with goblin is a something that makes a mess, doesn't really clean up after itself. I think that's because I think I fill that function, because this place it looks like a bomb blew up in this bunker, and so if you can clean it up and make coffee every now and again or tea, sure. George, good evening from Germany. Good evening. Almost on time after watching the Two Towers extended edition in the cinema. Oh, wow. I remember I saw them films in the cinema when they were released. Cool that you could see it in the cinema now. Mark says, I love the orc video. Is it just me? But I thought the orc was cute. Is that okay? I think that's kind of the point with a lot of these old things, is that a lot of things are kind of cute or funny or interesting. Definitely a lot of old Warhammer was a lot more fun, whereas sort of today, sort of Age of Sigmar is very serious. Hello, Michael Strange. How are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Hope you're doing well. As well, and I'm eagerly awaiting your gift. Michael Strange has been very kind to me. Luke the Squat bought the book the other day and can't wait to read it. You mean the Hieronymus Bosch book? King of the cheese. Cheese? Cheese. I like cheese. Hello, Alex. Good morning from Central Indiana, working on my Grimdark Future vehicle camo paint scheme. I used to be really good at this. Hope you're well today. Are you not still good at this? I hope you are. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter, but it sounds like you've lost it. Grimdark Future vehicle camo paint scheme. Camo's tricky. Are you using like an airbrush or something like that? Is it like a modern warfare type camo? I'm intrigued. Eric Brown, I finished my Age of Sigmar Goomspite Git's army yesterday. Wow, congratulations. So I'm riding the high and finally getting the project done. I watched the York video while I was finishing the army. It was great fun. Congratulations on finishing your army. That is riding a high. And then a slight feeling of emptiness after a week or so. And then you realize, oh, wait, I've already bought another 3 armies to paint. And then you're back at it, kind of. But it's quite a lot of miniatures in a goblin army, isn't it? Because I just have the Stormcast, and it's like 20 odd miniatures, and you're done. Admittedly, I haven't finished mine yet, and it's been 3 years. But yeah. Jamie Mayer says, press like and satiate the eternal thirst of fickle chaos. I mean the algorithm god. Indeed. Please press the like button. Ooh, people are giving me money. Irulian Dark. Hobby hangout and hopefully finishing up some old Nurgle metal minis today. The weekend is looking good. Well, thank you for the donation, Irulian. I truly appreciate it. And good luck with the old metal Nurgle. I found some, I think, Nurglings maybe in that little box that I've got. But and some Nurgle champions. They're really cool. Maybe that could be some kind of a manifestation. Devourer, Prowler. Sounds like could be Nurgle champions, right? Raven. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Mallorca. I love the channel and having the streaming as background while painting. I'll be finishing 63 orc zombies. Not too much green today. It's about robes and armor. Orc zombies. What do you use orc zombies for? It's a lot of them. Numi says, I'm quite good at cleaning and brewing coffee. I'm packing my bags already. Awesome. At some point, I had an idea of, because this is all concrete walls, so they're pretty sturdy, you know. So I've had an idea of putting up, you know, drilling some rather chunky holes and setting up so I can have a hammock. I figured that'd be nice. But I haven't really gotten there yet. Ian Latimer, how you doing? Good morning. From a soon-to-be sunny Motueka, half awake, tea in hand. Are you bash-botting with Bill? Indeed, I am bash-botting with Bill. Well, I'm supposed to be bash-botting with Bill. I'm just... For one, like that orc... The orc video I just recently did was an attempt to make a video that didn't take it, you know, that where the painting wouldn't take up huge amounts of time. Because like the Stormcast I did before that, I painted 10 miniatures. So I figured I'll just do a video where I paint 1 miniature. And so that was nice. But instead I sort of ended up filming a lot of detail about it, and it sort of dragged out. And then I just got slammed with film and photography work. And so my plan was to have that orc video done ages back and have time to work on this bot that I'm supposed to bash that we can talk more about soon. But I haven't. And I need to kind of, in theory, get that done this coming week, only I'm already booked for other things half of that week. And then we've got holidays. And then in theory, I'm supposed to go to the Faroe Islands for work for 2 weeks. And so I should also not only do the bot, I should have another video prepared to be able to release for when I get back from the Faroe Islands. There's Numi, do you do project management. Okay. Girl Painting, greetings from your German viewer. Greetings, Girl Painting. I hope you're doing well. Good to have you here. Luke Squat says, I mean the War Transform book. I love the concept. Yes, indeed. I'm glad you got it. I hope it, it's a very niche game in a way. And so, but I hope people buy it and that it sells so that Frederick can make more games, because I like Freddy. But yeah, I think the books are just fun. Obviously, it's a rule book, so it's not like a book that you read. But for me, it's just fun reading it, and then hopefully I get to play it as well in some time in the future. Alison says, there will be no seriousness in Age of Sigmar, she says, squid in hand, while pointing her finger at you all. Indeed. The gobos are still fun. You're quite right, Alison. The Stormcast lost their humor in the forges of wherever Sigmar hangs out with his big forges. And the orcs got really sort of serious. And, I remember the old, what was that? The Great Unclean One. It kind of looks like, if anyone's old and remembers Pizza the Hut. It's like, that's what I think of when I see an old Great Unclean One. And nowadays it's just like this seriously wicked monster. Everything is seriously wicked, but not the goblins and the squigs. Thankfully, they're still fun. Wolves and Stones Creation says, hi Alex, did you already paint Industra? No, I only did the kit bash. So she's waiting for some paint. That'll definitely be some kind of video. Just haven't got into it. But for my Age of Sigmar army, essentially what I've got left to complete is Industra. Half of whatever his name is, there's this big boss dude. I always think of Karl Bartos, which is a member of Kraftwerk. His name is something like that. Maybe. He's a big boss dude. And I've got 1.5 chunky sort of Terminator fellows, whatever they're called, that were in they're like really chunky thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening fellas. And some details on the riders on my dragons and the bases for the 2 dragons. That's what's left to paint. So most of it is sort of half finished. It's just Industra and one of the, I forget their names, Thunderbolt, Thunderstrike, chunky fellas left that just haven't got any paint on them. There's light in the tunnel. Girl Painting, I'm currently printing a High Elf army for Warhammer the Old World. Cool. What do the sculpts look like? Feasty Crabman. Hello, friends. No rattle can priming today, as it's quite chilly in Texas this morning. We talked about that on the Discord. There's a Discord for the 52 Miniatures patrons. So if you join the 52 Miniatures Patreon, you get access to Discord where we hang out. There's a lovely bunch of people. And I've never had issue, like if it's below freezing. So for me, that's sort of minus, 2 or 3 and below is usually fine for priming, because when it's freezing, it's usually pretty dry. So what I do is I usually just make sure the rattle can is a bit warm and that the miniatures are warm, and I just go out and prime and bring it back in to dry, and that's fine. What's troublesome is it's like moisture. So whatever happens, usually between when it's 0 degrees centigrade and 10, and it's sort of a bit foggy or raining or just moist, sort of autumn weather or spring weather, that can be pretty bad, because the little droplets of spray that shoot out of your rattle can, it picks up moisture in the air along the way, so that when it hits the miniature, it's actually got some water in it, and things can get a little bit ugly. So I find I go for like dry. It needs to be dry. Temperature doesn't really matter, as long as your rattle can isn't too cold and your miniatures aren't too cold. Girl Painting says the first 25 already cleaned and assembled. That was the elves. I'd be interested in seeing what they look like. Henrik Sörensson, hello from Norway. Hope you're doing well. King of the Cheese is brush painting with the $2 folk art green, tan, and brown. Takes a lot of coats for the camo for your brush painting camouflage. I see. I mean, because otherwise airbrush is a bit of a shortcut for sort of camouflage. Bronze Painter says, hi, I'm new to the channel and worked through quite a few of your videos now. Absolutely charming. I love the palette of colors formed in your wet palette when painting. Which one do you use? First off, I appreciate it, Bronze Painter. I'm glad you like the videos. And when it comes to wet palettes, I use Redgrass Games wet palettes. The first one was given to me by a viewer when I started the channel, which was very kind. So from the get-go, I made my own. I just had sort of a lunchbox and I cut out, like the kind of cloths you use when you wipe your table after the kid has macaronied it down. I don't know, Wettex is what the brand is called in Sweden. And then just baking tray paper on top of that in just like a Tupperware tub or something like that. I used that when I started out, which is honestly, I'd recommend that to most people when you start out painting. Just if you're really, really starting out and it's like, I like this, but you might paint for 6 months and then realize, oh no, it wasn't something for me, then it's good to not have invested too much. But if you're really sort of into painting, then obviously buying a wet palette can be nice. I was given a small Redgrass Games one, and then eventually, as the channel grew, Redgrass Games have been sending me like review copies of when they release a new wet palette, and so I've just kept on using Redgrass Games wet palettes. I think they're great, and nowadays they have these washable papers. So essentially, as long as the paint doesn't dry, because sometimes I forget my wet palette with like the little bit open, and 4 days later there's just dry blobs of paint on it. As long as that doesn't happen, you can just wash off the paper and just keep reusing it, as long as you dry it in between. But yeah, I think the Redgrass Games wet palettes are great. Like the only thing that I would like as an option is that they made black papers. Because like when I sit and paint, I have a black cutting mat, and then there's a lamp, and then I have this really big, like the biggest Redgrass Games wet palette, and there's this big white paper, and the light just shines on the paper, and then that shines in your face. So I've noticed that sometimes I can have a hard time like focusing on the mini, um, because there's like there's black and then there's white, and if I just push the white wet palette away, then all of a sudden I see my miniature better. And so I've been figuring that it would be really nice to have black paper, like a dark paper in the wet palette. I don't know how that would be for like when mixing your paints and watering down, making glazes. I don't know how that would work, but I don't see why black, black should work fine. It's just getting used to it. So Redgrass Games, if you're listening, please make black paper. Okay, I'm behind in the chat, as always. Eric Brown says, yeah, it was 68 minutes in the Git's army, and you're absolutely right. I do have 3 other armies. I also have to work on Seraphon, Slaves to Darkness, and Nightwant. Well, there you go. It's a mind reading, or just us gamers are alike. The Soothsayer, happy Sunday. All building Bat Knights today, staying on track for armies on parade next month. Cool. Good luck with that. Kiwi Warlord, hello. How are you doing? Good to see you. Phil says, can't wait for you to paint weird World War One, Alex. Yeah, I know. I need to get into making armies for that as well. And I'm not really I think this time around, I'm really going to have to just do army painting. Find some kind of a inner peace with the fact that I just need to get paint on miniatures to be able to play games with them. So I've got a sneaking suspicion that whatever I paint for a War Transformed is going to be fast. Because there's, there's in some instances you need quite a lot of miniatures because it's, depending on what faction you play, obviously. And if it takes me 3 years to paint a small Stormcast army, then, I don't think people will be all that interested waiting 6 years for me to finish the 2 armies I need for a War Transformed. So, yeah. Girl Painting says, I'm doing fine in trademark. Everything's fine in trademark. But yeah. Sounds convincing. Kiwi Warlords asks, where do you get the minis for a War Transformed? Well, a War Transformed is in theory a game that is miniature agnostic, which essentially means you can use whatever miniatures you want. But in theory, what it actually means is that no one's made specific miniatures for the game. Okay, so if you play a Warhammer game, then, for every single miniature in the rulebook, there is a specific miniature, and you're supposed to use that. In a miniature agnostic game, it just basically means that no one has made specific miniatures, and so you're free to interpret whatever's in the book in your own way. Most of the stuff in the book is, World War I soldiers, and so there's plenty of manufacturers of miniatures for World War I historical games. Warlord games, no. War Games Atlantic make some plastic miniatures for World War I, which are really nice. Many others, because there's plenty around, but quite a lot of it is in metal. And that can sometimes be a hassle to work with, especially if you want to alter the miniatures a little bit or kit bash them. But War Games Atlantic make plastic miniatures, But the thing with war games, with the War Transformed as well, is that it's sort of weird World War One. It doesn't mean that because there's weird World War One games out there that are very sort of freaked out, almost turn into some kind of science fiction with a lot more sort of monster focus and stuff like that. Whereas this is more like regular soldiers that maybe have a mask on because they're worshipping a weird cult, or like flowers in their hair or stuff like that. So when I was talking to the creator of the game, Freddie, he was very much into buying just lots of rather cheap plastics soldiers, and it can be barbarians from medieval times and like medieval knights, and then like World War One soldiers, and just swapping things around, like putting the wrong kit bashing is what it's called. So you put a knight's head on a World War One soldier, or a gas mask on a medieval barbarian. I believe as well that Wargames Atlantic make quite a few STLs if you have a 3D printer, because there's not tons of World War One things to print out there. It's a bit more of a traditionalist. In theory, people that play regular games, war games set in World War One, is more sort of traditional gaming, sort of like playing Napoleonics or something like that. Whereas this sort of weird sort of fantasy sci-fi version, there's not so much out there, so there's not tons to print. But yeah, so essentially you just interpret what the book says and go, wow, I could use, you could use Death Corps of Krieg from Warhammer 40k as your World War One soldiers, if you want to. Sean says, I certainly have too many rule books that I bought just to read for the art. Yeah. Agreed. Dark Lord of the Cheese. That's good, Nick. My Nurgle army is full of fun. It's a completely converted Burgle Carnival army. That sounds good. Roberto says, Bastian Kartalos. Indeed. Karl Bartos. I think that's just stuck there because I photographed him as a press picture that he used for an album release many years back. So then Karl Bartos kind of stuck. Ravens is answering about the orc zombies. Thank you. They're from Zombicide Green Horde, a medieval fantasy version of a survival zombie apocalypse. Okay, cool. There's so many different versions of Zombicide. I didn't know there was one. I didn't know there was a medieval fantasy version, but that sounds fun. John Negron says, howdy, do you have any Nightmare miniature models in your collection? I don't think so. Please explain Nightmare. Numi says, alas, ADHD prevents me from being of any use in anything involving management. Okay, that's a shame. Kleiner Fish says, hi, Alex, just finished Ultra Matte varnishing Dreadnought after doing dot filtering and pin washing with oils and applying decals, highlights and weathering in the evening. Sounds like you should have a pretty good looking Dreadnought by now. Was that the first time you did sort of pin washing and stuff like that? Or have you done it before? For those of you that don't know, pin washing is essentially a technique to use with oil paints where you pick out some colors. It can be random in a way, or you can pick out colors that sort of suit your scheme, but usually maybe warmer colors with a warmer vehicle or tank and colder colors, but say you have a green tank, then you can dot out small dots of like brown, blue, green, maybe a bit of yellow, maybe a white even, and you just do small dots everywhere with like you use a toothpick, dip it, and you dip it on the model. And then you grab a pretty large flat brush with some white spirit in it, and you just draw it up and down like this, and you start getting streaks, but they're all differently colored. And then these colors sort of start to mix a little bit, and it all thins down. You get this sort of filter all over the model that not only sort of creates streaks, but they're all slightly different colors. It turns into this great sort of staining effect that looks very natural, because in theory, if you get dirt on a vehicle, it's not, it's just not going to be all brown. There might be different shades of dirt, and it turns into a very realistic way of like staining a miniature or a model in this case. Usually tanks and stuff, you need sort of things that have a relatively flat surface for this to work efficiently. King of Cheese says, what light source is flashing there in your bunker, Alex? I mean, it's just my proper bunker. You need flickering lights if you have a bunker. No, I have some, because I work with film in a way. I have quite a few lights. These are small. I can show you one, since you're curious. They're just little, I guess what you could call glow sticks, and they have, you can just use them as regular lights, but they also have effects in them. This is the bad bulb effect, and so it just adds to the mood of the bunker. Because I was bored. So there's a couple of them around, just flickering about. Girl Painting says, well, there's some options. I can show you on Instagram, or you can hop on my Discord server. Discord server scares me. No offense, Girl Painting. So please show me on Instagram. Obviously, my own Discord server doesn't scare me, but it's like I can only handle one. I sometimes get invited to different servers with different creators and stuff like that, and after a while I kind of end up leaving them, not because I'm not enjoying my time there. I just take whatever's written in them too seriously and start reading too many things, and it takes too much time, and yeah. Calamac, email sent. I'll check my inbox. Thank you. Claudia Smith, Yo 52, hopefully not adding further stress. Matt Paint's video Game Theory, why YouTube feels boring, gives interesting insights into the stats of video creation. Handy hints to have in the toolbox. Yeah, I haven't seen actually that one, but there's a lot of things to YouTube, which is essentially, if you want to be successful at YouTube, there's lots of things you can do. And some of them are really hard to interpret, and some of them are rather easy to interpret. I think one of my issues is that everything, I just want to do things the way I want to do them. And that's usually not the right way to do YouTube. I'm not trying to say that it's easy to be successful at YouTube, and that if I just follow the rules, everything would be fine. It's just I just kind of want to make videos and put them up there, and that's it, not having to think about changing my content just because that is what the majority of people would like or think that they would like. I very much appreciate I believe the original motto of the BBC was, we should give people what they don't know that they want. Kind of, something like that. So essentially making stuff that people might appreciate once they start watching it, but they didn't actually realize that that was what they wanted to see. And I don't know if I'm doing that, but I just I don't want to make 11-minute videos on how I painted another blue space marine. But if I would, I probably would get more views and other things, obviously. Or just be fun and nice and not just talk for ages about nonsense that most people don't want to listen to. And I could add music and there could be explosions. Hello, Sakaten from Switzerland. How are you doing? Phil says, I keep my wet palette top sheets dried in a book so I can reference the mixes. Mine, they're just tracing paper, cut to size, so cleaning and reusing them would save me less than a penny a sheet. Okay, now I get you. That's pretty smart, Phil. I'm afraid mine get, because I paint and then I put the lid on and I get back the next day and there's maybe half a wet palette that I can keep using, but all the other paints have just sort of turned into one blob. And then I use the other half and then I go home and then I come back and then the next day the entire thing is just brown, kind of. But I do have a tendency to just put too much paint on the wet palette as well, which is a bit of a waste. Mark from Montana says, Alex, do your miniatures look significantly different in natural light, or does your bunker light pretty much replicate natural light already? My bunker light relatively, like my painting light is set to sort of daylight, and the lamps are pretty good. So, you know, in terms of color, then it's pretty much the same as in a natural light. Obviously, the light is a lot brighter. And so if you just hold the miniature up by a window, it looks more dull just because that light tends to not be as strong as what's coming from the lamps. Unless you're in sunlight, obviously, but that's way too yellow. There's a difference between daylight and direct sunlight, just to confuse people. Daylight is sort of just whatever comes in through your window when the sun's not shining straight into it. The direct sunlight is usually far more sort of yellow than sort of daylight, which is sort of, you know, even when it's cloudy, you still have daylight. I didn't really explain that greatly, but yeah, I think color-wise they're pretty much the same, Mark. Just usually they're experienced more dull and not as full of contrast. If I just hold it in, if I just go outdoors with it and look like it, it looks a little bit more dull, just because it's not as much light shining onto them. Gary Jensen says, hi, Alex. I've been making silicone molds of my Games Workshop terrain this week. It's been a struggle, but I'm making progress. In theory, I should cut my costs by half, but I'm starting to have my doubts. So you've got purchased Games Workshop terrain that you're making a mold out of so you can make more of it. I can see how maybe you're not saving money if we're talking about labor costs, but that's not something we do when we hobby, because it's fun. And I guess it depends on what you pour into the molds then. Like, are you gonna pour resin in there or something? And then, like, what's the cost of resin? I mean, in theory, I guess you should, because you can just keep on reproducing. If you want to make kids, you can obviously keep reproducing. But you can just, you know, use the molds over and over and over again. So you should be fine, right? Girl Painting says, Alex, if you want to switch from a display painting style to an army painting approach, there's a Little trick you can do: paint the same miniature 3 times in 3 hours, 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yeah. Yo, Bill, making stuff. Hope you're well, Bill. Yeah. I think that's probably a good idea. I just, I'll take it when I get there. But I'm thinking it's probably just going to be sort of kind of like base coats and an oil wash and then just hands off. We'll see. Jamie Mays says, I love the paganish we're letting blood or the sun won't come up until tomorrow. Elements of War transformed, the folk horror rebit. Yes, rather than the high fantasy. I agree. What Jamie is saying is that, I mean, the War Transformed is sort of like fantasy World War One, only the fantasy is not sort of Tolkien fantasy. It's more like pagan folk horror style fantasy. Kind of like them. If there was monsters, you'd think maybe they were like a little bit like some of the monsters in The Witcher, kind of more than dragons and goblins. Henrik says, so in one of your videos that you removed all paint from a miniature. What paint remover do you use? It was also mentioned in the most recent video. I use BioStrip, which is phenomenal. I've never used a paint stripper that works as well as BioStrip. And I've tried several specific sort of miniature paint brand paint strippers, and also, different alcohols and all this kind of stuff. And by miles, the one I think is best is BioStrip. Michael says, I'm going to use Wild West Exodus War Cradle models for the USA. I guess that you mean the for a War Transformed. That's cool. Adrian says, damn you, time zones. Good, slightly later than planned afternoon. Hello, Adrian. Good to see you. Okay, so I figured we're going to take a little break. I'm not as if I'm going to shut anything off. Just that we have some raffling to do, so we might as well do the first one. Essentially, I don't really do giveaways. It's another thing you should be doing if you want to be a successful YouTuber and Patreonist. But sometimes my dear patrons, and thank you very much for this, purchase things, and they realize they bought something they don't want, they don't need, or they've been given something and they already have one of it. And then they write me and say, hello, Alex, I've got 2 of these. Would you like to give one away to some other patron? So everything that we're about to raffle away is not something that I'm giving away. It's something that one of my patrons are giving away to other patrons. As so happens, I'm paying for shipping. So if I'm lucky, then everyone's and any winners of this raffle will be in Europe. But just kidding. So our first giveaway, let's see if I can get this correct, is this lovely set of paints. Whoops. I'm in the picture. So this is a starter set of golden salt flat paints, an extra burnt sienna, and then there's an oil paint. I can't see what kind of yellow that is. Windsor yellow. So this is the first giveaway, and I've prepared so essentially, when you're a patron, I announce this, and then you can say, I want one of them. And what we have, let's see if I can get this going. Is that on there? Wait, where are we? Oh, yes. Here we are. We got all the people that were interested in these golden so flat paints plus an oil paint and this lovely little spinny wheel that I'm now going to press. And it's very exciting. And we are not sure who's going to win, but it's very close. And we have Nick. Applause. There was even applause. Woo! Lovely. Congratulations, Nicholas. You've just won yourself some paints. Good stuff. That was fun, wasn't it? The spinning wheel thing. I'm like, can I do another one? We're going to do another one. There's one more giveaway, but we'll wait a bit. So first one was Nicholas. I should write that. I guess I could reference the stream, I guess, but I'm old school, and so we're writing it down. I think Bill was asking, did I miss the bot bash talk? No, Bill, I haven't gotten there yet. I was going to get into it now. I'm just going to answer a few more comments, and then I hope you're well, Bill. By the way, then we're going to talk bot bash. Jamie says the flickering light effect to me is atmospheric, but also very much horror scenes when things are about to get interesting quite soon. Yeah, we'll see if it's kind of like it's a bit kind of like there's a bombardment, a constant 2-hour bombardment going on with flickering lights. Jack Fletcher says Discord is the new IRC if you let it. Fills up all your time. I'm not sure what IRC means, but I agree with filling up the time or just scattering your brain. Because it's like yet another sort of, oh, I'm just going to check that, and then I'm just going to check that, and then you're bouncing from emails to Instagrams to Discords to YouTubes to, and your brain slowly fries. Phil asks, don't know if you have a fridge at the bunker, but I find I don't overdo the wetness in the palette and fridge overnight. Then the paint doesn't bleed and stays actually usable. Oh, I didn't know that. Might try it. Thanks, Phil. Juicy Milk says, evening, Father. How have you been? Nice to see you again. Good evening. I'm doing well. I wasn't aware that I had children all over the place, but these things could have happened. White Norfolk checking in from Canada. Your videos and art is amazing. I really appreciate you and your channel. Thank you. I appreciate that you let me know because it really keeps my spirits up. And Clyde Dashing, thank you for the donation. This is to pay for the cool explosions to make videos exciting. Maybe just painted cotton balls. Okay. Is that like a challenge? $10 explosions. Last year I was planning, I don't know how many of you have watched that video, but I did a video quite some time back called The Monster Hunter, which has a cinematic intro. So it's actually sort of like a little bit of a short film in the beginning with my friend Oscar, who is the Monster Hunter. And I want to make another one with him, only he's been busy. And then we talked about it last year, but then winter came. And, obviously when doing small film, like an introduction for a YouTube video that 15,000 people watch, you want to film outdoors because it's just easier with light than trying to set lights for every scene. And so winter didn't happen. Winter did happen, and so we haven't filmed everything. But I was asking him about, could we have explosions? And his answer was, yes. I have lots of great explosion things. Because he works with props and stuff like that for film. So I don't know what that means because we haven't talked more since. But if not, Clyde, I can use the $10 for the next film whenever, if we need to buy something to make things explode, I guess. Crazy Horse says daughters and someone need someone to play with. Have to leave. Have fun, everybody. Thank you, Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse is also the donor of the next giveaway that we're going to do. It's very kind of him. I don't know if he wanted to be anonymous, but now he's not. Shrek NPC, hello, how are you? Calamac says, I missed the raffle. Just the one. I did the Soul Flats and the paint, they went to Niklas. Congratulations, Niklas. Okay, so I had a bot bash theme for this video, and so I should talk bot bash. Essentially, Bill, who is you still here, Bill? He's occasionally here. Bill is a friend of mine. He has a YouTube channel called Bill Making Stuff, and you've probably seen it. If you haven't, you should check it out. Bill asked me if I wanted to make a junk bot. Bill, how much can I say? Are you there, Bill? Can I say that it's a collaboration with other YouTubers? Whoops, just did. But essentially, Bill's made this fantastic junk bot generator. It looks like this. And it's rather fun. These are the instructions. For every section, and the different sections are body, head, hands, arms, legs, and flavor. You roll a d20, write down the corresponding attribute. Using these traits, build a bot. Bot as in robot. Interpret the results how you like. And so I'll read some of these out. We can roll one. I've already rolled mine because I'm supposed to be. Bill says, "Say whatever you like." Okay, you're quite an inspiration, Bill. Thank you. Okay, so I've already rolled mine. I'm supposed to build a robot. We can roll one now. We got a 12 for a body, which is too many wires. Okay, so others can be big boned, Geiger, heavy smoker, rust god, should it be leaking, brick shit house, speed holes, spikes, all dressed up, and so on and so forth. You're then supposed to do a head. You got a 12. This is rigged dice. Sees all. So obviously it can be interpreted into having many eyes or whatever. There's others for head, which can be he looks dangerous, fish bowl, scary, bad breath, godlike, googly, cute and round, and so forth. We've then got arms, 19, wired. There's also war machine, mismatched, Mr. Tickle, double jointed, knuckle dragger, stubby noodle, hydraulic, so forth. Hands, 3, buzz, B-U-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z. Others are, big gun, scorcher, electric, hook, two-handed, buster, calamari. And then legs, 16. Weak. Others are quadrupod, tripod, tank tracks, ballerina, pistons, daddy long, triple jointed, backwards. He's actually written it backwards, which is fun because Bill is kind of fun. And then we have flavor. So this is like the theme for the entire thing, which is 17. Cutie. That's nice. I'm glad I didn't get that one. That would have been not great. Making a cute robot is probably not my forte. But others are like Rusty Ronin, Moldy, Savage, Holy, Evil, Too Many Spikes, Jagged, Soft, Sleek, Unlucky, and so forth. And so that when you've rolled and you have a list of random words, hopefully they will inspire you now go bash a bot. This is great fun. Do we have this, Bill? I have this. Can I link it in the description of the video? Is it like a public thing? It should be, because you've already got this rolling. Anyway, anyone can do this. I'll link it. Thanks, Bill. So I'll put it in the description of this video after the stream. And it's a fun way of just, if you want to just try and build something from scratch. This is JunkBot. So obviously that can be interpreted as using trash or whatever. But in theory, if you haven't ever built something from scratch before, just use whatever you've got around, or use some trash and then green stuff and clay, or it's just build whatever you like in whatever way you like to whatever size you like. The fun thing is that if you don't, like for me, I don't do this much, and I wouldn't have known where to start. But now I had some keywords, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to try and follow these keywords and see how I go, instead of just having a blank slate. It's also kind of fun to just force yourself into like, okay, so I think my head that I actually rolled for the thing I'm supposed to build was grinder. And so like, okay, so how is a grinder head supposed to look like? And it really helps when you try and build something, for me at least, because I don't, build makes a lot of little robots out of junk. I don't. And so for me, it's fun and it helps. And there's quite a few of us that are going to be doing this. Bill says there's also this JunkBot generator is also on the Gutterlands website. So I'll that's Bill's game, because essentially, if you want, Bill's made a game where you can play with your kit bashed JunkBots, and sort of inspired by the game Tonks, I believe. It's created together with I'm not great at names, but Bill made it together with the guy that made the game Tonks. And so you can make your robot, and then you can play a game with it. And that's called Bangarang in the Gutterlands. And the Gutterlands has a website where you can find this. But I'll link it in the description. And sort of by the end of February, there's going to be a few videos from different creators doing this thing. I'm supposed to be doing it as well. Bill, do you have like a teleporter thing? Can you teleport yourself over here and build my robot? Because I think I need to start like now, and then I probably have about 3 days to do the video, kind of, because things happened. And I'm a bit, yeah. I've started to get some ideas, but it's not, for some reason I painted an orc, just because orcs are fun. Time machine, yes, Bill. Time machine would be great. But I have some ideas. I might have to cheat, kind of, which is fine, because it's also just a hobby. And so we should be having fun. It says here, no 3D prints, which is also, I mean, if you print a lot of things in 3D and you throw things in the trash that you don't use, that you've 3D printed, you could technically pick them out of the trash and use them as well, I guess. But the point is that it's fun to try and actually build something that someone else hasn't already built. I have been thinking of trying to incorporate my junk bot into my fascination with this game. Like build something, because there's some there's the highest level manifestation, so it's essentially whatever a witch can conjure up on the battlefield, which is the biggest one, which probably won't happen very often, is called a crusher, which is like huge monstrous creature. And so I'm thinking maybe I could make my junk bot a bit sort of weird World War One-ish, and then I could use it as a gaming piece for a War Transformed. Because that'd be fun. That'd sort of give me a bit of a boost. So that's maybe sort of a plan. It does sound like a plan, right, Bill? So this is, have a look at it. It's a fun thing. Yeah. Sorry, my mind started like, oh, I could maybe use that for this. And okay, I'm going to have a look at the chat. Shrek NPC says, I spent all my time modeling and rendering image for Bronze Age Caveman. What's Bronze Age Caveman, Shrek? Please let me know. Numi now formally announces himself as another offspring. Seems like my former life is catching up with me. Buck Todgers, loving your work, Alex. You inspired me to think outside the box art. I'm glad to hear that. I don't know. I think when I started painting miniatures when I was little, which I then obviously stopped and didn't paint for ages and started again about 5 years ago. Most of the stuff you bought didn't have box art because there was still, Warhammer miniatures were still in blister packs. There was obviously some of the larger things, usually bigger monsters, obviously sort of boxes with like full armies in them and stuff like that had some art on the front. But most of the stuff came in blister packs that were it was just cardboard on the back and then like a plastic thing. And then there was just metal miniatures in there. So if you didn't buy like White Dwarf or stuff like that, you didn't really have much to go for. You just sort of put paint on there, and there was no YouTube. There was nothing. There was no one sort of pushing down your throat that this is the way you're supposed to be doing things. And so for me, somehow painting miniatures has always been just something that I do regardless of how the company paints their miniatures or how others paint their miniatures. I can obviously be inspired and I can obviously see other paint jobs and go, wow, that's really cool. But I've never been the painter that sort of tries to copy other things. Maybe also because I've never really aspired to get better. That just happens because I keep painting. Otherwise, if you really want to master your painting, you can always try and copy other people's paint jobs, and eventually you'll probably graduate faster, maybe. But Ren says, as I wait for Helldivers 2 to install, I just want to say between you and Bill, I've learned a lot and returned to doing things I used to chase. I learned a bit about painting from you as well, so thank you. So you actually learned something from Bill? Does that happen often, Bill? Thank you, Ren. I'm really glad to hear it. Jan Andersson says, another little trick. Toothpaste is a very good temporary adhesive, like when you fix your models to a stick to prime them. Is it? I would have never tried to glue things with toothpaste. I'm going to have to try that just to try it. So like when you prime things on a stick and such, why wouldn't you just use sort of blue tack because the blob's too big? Red Dog Terrain, hello, how are you? Shrek NPC says, I've seen Bill making stuff, interesting stuff. Bill's great. We love Bill. White North, another $10. Thank you very much. More explosions. What an honor. Thanks for the contribution. Ren says, gathered quite a few bot results, been making a few for a friend across Discord. Cool. Calvin Baker says, love what you do and the way you present the hobby. Thank you. Well, thank you for watching. Irudian Dark says 80 plus people watching and 7 likes. I think some people are having issues finding the like button. I think we're up to more likes, but I agree. We're actually, according to my thingy here, it says 83 likes, but people come and go. So if you're new and you haven't pressed the like button, please do, because it just helps spread the video. For me, I can tolerate a world without thumbs up, but YouTube can't, so it just helps. Okay, where are we? Clyde Dashing says, just bash bits with mini bits. 52 minis cheat. The thought has struck me. Because I really like to just kit bash, but actually have bits that look like things that come from a miniature world. I'm not as skilled as Bill creating these awesome things out of just kids' toys and trash and stuff like that. And I still need to I need to impress people. It's part of my job, isn't it? Radiation Cow, hello. How are you doing? I hope you're well. We've had the raffle for the Soul Flat paints, and they went to Niklas Andersson. Should we do the raffle? Let's do the other raffle. The other raffle. Okay, I need to press some buttons. Hold on a minute. Why is this window huge? How do I? Okay. The other item on today's raffle, which is also kindly donated by a patron, is this thing here. Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig. So this again is a Patreon raffle that all my patrons can join in on and have joined in. And the item itself is donated by a patron. It's wonderful stuff. And so let's see. I've prepared a raffle for this thing here. And you should be seeing a spinning wheel, right? I just need to double check. Yes. Oh, look at that. So let's do raffle number 2. Goblin Rider and Squee thing. I need to have the applause ready here. This is exciting, isn't it? And the winner is Bill Curran. Applause. All right. Congratulations, Bill. Bill will be getting a squig with Rider. And I'm old school, so I'm writing this down so I don't forget it. Congratulations, Bill. So I'll reach out to you guys, Nicholas and Bill, on Patreon and ask you for addresses, and then you'll have to be fine with me sharing that address with the other patron that is actually sending the stuff from them, which I hope you are. And you'll get a little package in the mail with your gifts. Hello, Black Magic Craft. I look very cozy, don't I? Thank you. How are you doing? I've eagerly been watching your completion of the lovely Kickstarter, Idols of Torment. If anyone in the chat hasn't checked out Idols of Torment, then you definitely should. I am very cozy. I wish I could see you because you're probably all cozied up as well. Shrek NPC is answering my question about what Bronze Age is. Bronze Age Caveman is storyboarded screenplay illustrated in Blender, narrated and uploaded to YouTube on my channel. It's a fictional account of the late Bronze Age collapse. My lord. Okay. Do you have a name for this? What's your I haven't seen this. Should I? Have I missed it? Can you please just write your what your YouTube channel is, please? Bronze Age Caveman. I need to check this out. Ren says, I used to collect scrap around maybe a little under half the age I am now. A scrap for building things. Have you been collecting scrap for half your life? Or did I just interpret things wrong? That's a lot of bashing, potential bashing. It also, like, if you have, how do you file it? Like, is there a system of bits? I'm intrigued. Michael says, we always use toothpaste to stick posters to the wall. This whole toothpaste glue thing is... okay, another note to self. Glue things with toothpaste. I'm going to try as soon as I get home, which is, I should start kit bashing a robot before I go home. I'm gonna glue things with toothpaste, man. I need to try this. Is there any preferred brands? Like I'm guessing most toothpaste brands are kind of universal. They're probably all owned by Unilever anyway. But is it like this toothpaste has the most awesome adhesive, properties? Bill says he's trying to glue his kid's mouth shut with toothpaste. The problem with my kid is that as soon as he the mouth area tends to be constantly open, words spilling out, and then when you come with the toothbrush, the mouth sort of firmly shuts, and therein lies the issue of trying to glue things shut with the toothpaste because you can't get the darn thing in there. Alison says, I was so close. You were tremendously close, Alison, in winning that squig. And Alison is also a great lover of squigs. So it was maybe a tad unfair there. But at least you've already got a lot, Alison. Alison made this great... Can I tell them, Alison? Can I tell people about your diorama that you made with squigs that was inspired by a cartoon? Phil says, back, had to be nurse Phil a moment. What did I miss? You missed the second giveaway, Phil. The squig went to Bill. So both the items on the menu have been raffled away, and unfortunately you didn't win anything, Bill. I mean Phil. But there we are. Soviet Bear, thank you for the donation. Here's some money to help cover raffle shipping. That's very kind, Soviet Bear. Thank you. Black Magic Craft says, I'm cozy eating warm oatmeal. Good Sunday. Is that like breakfast? Or is it just a snack? In Sweden, we do a nice sort of like a rice porridge, usually with cinnamon in it. It's essentially kind of the same rice as you would use if you're making a risotto, a borio kind of rice that you boil with milk and cinnamon, and then you eat it with sugar or syrup. That's cozy. Shrek NPC says, my channel is Shrek NPC. Okay, great. So I need to check out Shrek NPC's Bronze Age Caveman. Sounds like I've been drinking beer, but that's just me wishing for better times. Thanks, Shrek. Go for it, painting. Hello, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Ren says, I do not have a system, and my original collection got tossed out when my room got remodeled. Wasn't home to stop it. I amassed a new collection now between street scavenging and store runs. I'm intrigued, Ren. How much is it? How much space does this collection of trash take? And what does it, do you have a sort of, is there something that really intrigues you when you find it? And I'm not trying to be funny here. I'm just because I was looking when I was initially sort of thought I was starting this thing out. I did go jumble around. We have a sort of room where in the apartments where I live, there's a place where people throw their recyclables. And so there's different bins. There's like one for electronics, one for glass, one for newspapers, and so on and so forth, because we live in Sweden and everyone is very responsible and tries to recycle as much as possible. And so I had a big sort of dig around in there and found some sort of old toys and stuff like that. And there was like 2 televisions. Someone's thrown out their old televisions, and I was like, I wonder what this looks like on the inside. But I wasn't gonna go, things could have gotten out of control. But so I was just curious if there's like, do you have things that are like, wow, this is A-class trash. Alison says, yes, you can tell them. Okay, so Alison made a diorama of squigs that look like, this turned into a great story because my mind is now blank. Help, Alison. My mind's gone blank. South Park. Okay, so she's done the kids from South Park. Her squigs are the kids from South Park. Sort of painted up to look like the kids from South Park. And especially Kenny is gorgeous. It's fantastic. John Anderson says, temporary adhesive. Don't use it for your bot. As for brands, we're on to the toothpaste here. As for the brands, I suppose it depends on your taste. Personally, I stay away from the ones with a strong menthol taste. Okay. Yeah, no, I understood that this was temporary adhesive. I'm just amazed that it works as any kind of adhesive. Phil, I don't know how to interpret this. I know you're talking to someone else, but who's the angry anus? Okay. Jeremy says late breakfast, oatmeal with brown sugar and maple syrup, of course. Yeah, that does sound cozy. I kind of dig the oatmeal. It's a good breakfast for the kids, so I try to. But I just have the one, but we try and do oatmeal for breakfast as well. Keeps them healthy and strong. Shrek ate a cheeseburger with caramelized onions for breakfast. That's also a breakfast, I guess. Phil says that's the tech term for squigs. Okay. Now I get it. So squigs look like an angry anus. Okay. I kind of get your point. Ren says, not entirely sure how to describe, but more or less everything I do is localized in my room. There's 2 large containers in my closet filled with all manner of things I've collected. Okay, cool. I was just, yeah. I had this vision of like a lot of trash and systems and all kinds of things. But I'm glad to hear that you're actually building bots out of them, and for friends even. Do we have any specific questions? I'm slowly. I've had this week has been excessively intense with work and then trying to finish off the last video for YouTube, whilst in shame walking around trying to figure out how to do this thing. And I woke up this morning and my mind is feeling pretty blank. And it's thoroughly blanking out now. So if anyone has any specific questions, please ask them in the chat. It could be anything. Just helps me kind of going, not having to make way too many things up as I go along. Being this nice for almost 2 hours is quite the effort, because I'm actually a grumpy old man. So Phil says, I'll start my robot tonight too, so you're not alone. Yeah, thank you, Phil. It'll be great to have some company. Bill, are you still there? Have you started your robot yet? Because Bill obviously is doing a junk bot as well. Bill says, I feel so guilty now. No, you shouldn't feel guilty. I just need a time management team. I need you. I know you feel the same, and Jeremy as well. But our teams are way too small. You know, where's the management Alex? Where's janitor Alex? Where's salesman Alex? Where's editing Alex? Because, like, you know, it'd be really nice to have editing Alex while filming Alex is building models. You know, so no guilt, Bill. It's just these things happen when all of a sudden clients want things done. Essentially, I filmed the thing on Tuesday that needed to be released to the world on the Friday, which is not a lot of work when you film something and you have to edit it, and it had to be approved and corrected and then color graded and then sound mixed and then blah. But I'm looking forward to the robot build. Bill says I'm about halfway. Cool. Are you sharing things, or is it going to be a surprise? I haven't checked into the Discord that much, Bill. I really should get some kind of collaboration vibe into the video, shouldn't I? That'd be fun. It's in the Discord. Cool. Numi asked, what is the reason Sweden is inferior compared to Finland? I think because we drink less coffee, Numi. Ren says, you aren't entirely wrong. Aside from the 2 containers, there's 4 smaller containers to the right of my chair and a plastic storage bag under my bed. I pulled from someone who was getting evicted. They let me take it. See, it's shaping up. Irulian Dark says, what's your favorite miniature that you own? Sentimentally, I have... this obviously is something that I need to make a video of at some point, but it's just one of those things that I know that I'm going to spend ridiculous amounts of time on, and it's not something that's utterly important in the grand scheme of things. But it goes back to the old Warhammer stuff. When I was a kid, I remember saving up for money for ages to buy a 2-headed chaos dragon for Warhammer Fantasy. I believe the rider is some kind of a hero called Egrim van Horstman, something like that. So it's a big 2-headed dragon and a dragon rider, all in metal. And I think I sort of half painted it, and then at some point tried to strip it, and then sort of painted again, and then tried to strip it, and it's broken in pieces, and the pieces themselves are broken into parts, like so it needs to be sort of thoroughly restored and then painted. And I would also like to give it an environment, like a small diorama or something. I don't have any miniatures at home at all, sort of on display. This is sort of the only miniature that I thought that maybe it'd be nice to do, like sort of what's called a book nook, I think. So you can have it in like your bookcase, in your bookshelf, just because it sort of represents everything I loved with Warhammer as a kid. And so I think that's my favorite miniature. The hero is honestly not great. I think it's, I mean, I don't actually like the orc that I painted. Has more character, is more fun, but there's just something to the story and the nostalgia around the whole sort of saving money for a year to buy the miniature. And I think I even sort of timed it so that I bought it in the UK while we were there on holiday, because Warhammer was so much cheaper in the UK compared to Sweden back then. All these things in this pile of metal. So personally, that's my coolest miniature, I think, just because of what it entails. In regards of looks, I don't really know. But like actually sort of something that I've painted already that I think looks really cool. I mean, I'm very fond of the diorama that I built last summer, which was taking a Horus Heresy dreadnought and putting it in a diorama that was the wrong scale. So using a scale model, sort of 1/35th scale regular humans, so that the big dreadnought actually more looks like some kind of a huge power suit, and I just really liked how that turned out. And it also, for some reason, there's like almost 200,000 people that watched that video, which is quite a lot compared to like my recent one, which is like 10,000 or something. Not the reason why I like the miniature. I just thought that whole diorama turned out very fun. So that's a favorite of the things that I've actually made or created. that I just like the look of and the mood. It feels like I got the mood right, kind of. King of the Cheese says, random question. Alex, how many countries have you lived in or had extended waits in International Man of Mystery, perhaps? Slightly. I grew up in a country called Botswana, which is just the country bordering South Africa, if you look up north. And, well, I say grew up. I lived there for quite some time as a kid. I lived in Australia for a while, in Adelaide. And also my dad's from the UK, so I've spent quite some time in the UK. But I have traveled extensively throughout my life, both for work and for pleasure. Clyde says, stress aside, how has the battleboard table progressed? Not at all. That's also another thing that's in the back of my head. So the last thing I did was build that bunker, which I made a video on. And since then, I haven't done anything. I've been considering action plans. First, my idea of, because I need to think in the term of videos, because the next step is to add detailed textures, sort of like sand, rocks, that kind of stuff, finer texture, tile grout, all these things, sealing that, and then painting. And so I thought, well, that could be 2 videos. But on the other hand, I don't know how many people would be interested in just watching me pour sand on the whole thing. You know, I could make a video on sort of how to make realistic textures on your miniature blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if that would work out. So another plan would be to just extend until you get to see the whole finished thing, and then just do a more sort of rapid video of me finishing off the board, which would be including painting it. And I want to get into that when I get back from having to go to the Faroe Islands for work in a couple of weeks. But we'll see. There's also some weird sponsors that are not very great at communicating. So I don't really know what my future videos look like, because in theory, some of them should be on specific sponsored content, only people are not really great at replying to emails. So I've had a hard time planning that. Bill Making Stuff says, got to go. I hear the battle theme from Flash Gordon means my son wants me to fight with pillows. Good luck, Bill. Thanks for hanging out for a while. I'm going to give you a ring, I think, during the week, because yeah, I need some pep talk. Henrik Sörensson asks, if you were to buy a lamp for painting, which lamp would you buy? It doesn't have to be one specifically for painting. It's a little bit of a trick question for me, because I've ever since I started to get into painting, I've also already had access to lights that I use to film things with. And so I don't know if you can see it behind me. Wait, no, you can't really see it, but sort of, wait, this is confusing. Round about here, round about there is sort of a LED panel. It's not sort of bigger than yay size, with a little bit of a what's called a softbox on it, which is something I use sometimes for filming. It's from a company called Aperture, and I've got several of their sort of LED panels, and so I've always just used them when I've set up my sort of painting desks. And then sort of rather recently, Redgrass Games sent me their lamp to review, which is a great lamp, but I also know it's quite an expensive lamp. On the other hand, so it's about probably the same price as the LED panels that I've already been using. I made a video, I don't know how long ago. It was made last year anyway, where I go through things that I find are important with lighting and painting miniatures. I don't give any specific reviews. I don't say much about specific lamps apart from that Red Grass Games lamp. But there's some pointers in there of things that I think are good pointers to think about when wanting to buy a lamp. So if you haven't watched that, that could be a good sort of start. I know at the same sort of time, it might even be linked in the description of that video. Okay, my brain's fried. There was another creator made a video on more specific sort of lamps. It was Ninjon. Ninjon made a video more sort of on specifically sort of, I've tried this lamp and this lamp and this lamp and this lamp. And I made sort of my video on no specific lamps, just light theory. And so I don't know, maybe he has some good tips in that video. I think it should be linked in the description of the video that I made. Ian Latimer says, how does everyone watch you on screen size? In my lounge watching the TV, and your lighting is superb. Loving the blue-green tint. I have been surprised hearing how many people actually watch my videos on a television, which is fun because then that it should look good on a television. That's sort of one of the things that I hope, and so yeah. Prairie says, painting a high elf dragon right now in Rainy Map, probably the coolest miniature from my childhood. See, that high elf dragon would be the same style as the Chaos Dragon I was talking about, only the Chaos Dragon looks a little bit more evil and has two heads, but otherwise they probably have exactly the same wings. Wouldn't surprise me, because the wings are plastic. I'm sure your wings are plastic too. And maybe the scales are a bit different. And I can't remember if mine has two tails or one tail, but just the style of them, probably identical. Numi says, what about the scale model Goblin artillery unit? This is probably one of my favorites from you. I really like that tank and the goblins. In retrospect, I would have wanted a slightly larger diorama for it, because now it's just on a small sort of stretch of road, which just sort of acts as a base. It would have been nice with some kind of, like, not much, just a little bit, some kind of structure. Sorry, giving that whole thing just a little bit more depth and story. I remember building it that I wanted to just put a lot of effort into painting the tank. And the fact that I filmed the entire build of the tank in stop motion, I think. So all the bits just sort of get pulled together. And when you do silly things like that, then you sort of run out of time, and building a diorama on top of that would have been tricky. But I like it, but I feel that it lacks depth. It would have been cool if it had, maybe if the tank would have been situated more in some kind of an angle or in mud or whatever, or, yeah, anything. But the tank itself, I'm very proud of. Ren says, are we allowed to post links in the chat, Alex? Certainly, post on, as long as they don't contain links to bad things, because then YouTube will be angry with you. But just post on. Grey Fox says, I got the Redgrass Games lamp after your video mentioning it, and it's the best lighting solution I've used. Yeah, it's a great lamp. It's a big price tag, but you know, if you just ever want to just buy one lamp for miniature painting, obviously there's alternatives, but it's a very good lamp. Grey Fox says, this live stream is playing on the TV right now. Cool. Clyde says, if I don't comment on a video, it's because I'm watching it on the TV. Yeah. Phil also watches it on the TV. I just think it's cool because I never watch YouTube on a TV. But admittedly, I don't own one. So yeah, maybe that's why. I've got too many bookcases. There's no place for a TV. Michael asks, do you have trouble keeping focus on a single game? I really like the setting of a world transform, but I'm also very busy with burrows and badges, Frostgrave, Quartz Space. There's way too many fun games. I mean, if I would actually be playing them, of course, I don't get to play all that much. I've been keeping a bit too busy. This past year has been busy. I'm sort of trying to figure out how I can sometimes make the sort of creation of YouTube videos a bit more efficient. I think I might making this video, I think, is going to entail some experimentation in the video creation process, because I have a great way of doing. I have a way of creating my videos that I very much appreciate, but the process is elaborate, and it takes it takes me 2 weeks to make a video. That's why you only get videos every other week, and then I have regular work on top of that. So that means sort of like this weekend I've been working all weekend until late, and I work late a lot. And every now and again, it would be nice to have some kind of way of making videos a little bit simpler, because it doesn't have to mean that they're not as good. You know, it's just different workflows. But one thing that has affected is playing games. So I haven't played a single game in probably a year. So I used to play more Age of Sigmar, which I haven't at all. Finishing the table for a War Transformed hopefully makes me want, like, that's why I wanted to build a table, is just because, like, when the table's done and I got the miniatures, then that's what I'm gonna play. And maybe that I want that by putting all the effort in, hopefully that'll give me sort of, you know, hopefully makes me get my priorities straight. But you're completely right. I also want to play Silver Bayonet. I'd also like to play Frostgrave. I'd also like to play more Age of Sigmar. Tons of games, like Jeremy's Torment. I'd like to play Torment. That's Black Magic Crafts Torment. Please check it out if you haven't. And as soon as I see a game that's like, ooh, I really want to try that, and I sort of get the book and maybe 5 miniatures, and then I have like 5 different games that I, in theory, would like to play and sort of have painted some miniatures for, but I don't play any of them. So I think that's a lot of, I think it's like that for a lot of us. There's obviously a few gamers out there that really sort of, I have a few acquaintances that sort of play tournaments, 40K tournaments. The only thing they do is play 40K tournaments, and they just like to play 40K. They don't really enjoy painting that much, maybe a little bit, not tons of it. They just, yeah, it's fun to paint miniatures, but it's just to get things on the table, to play the games, and all the priorities are on playing tournaments. And that very much narrows the field down to just the few games that have tournaments, at least here in Sweden. And if you do that kind of stuff, then you can't really just jump around between all the different fun games that are out there. Irulian Dark asks me, who is your favorite, most admired painter that we would know? Sam Lenz is my favorite painter. I just like his style. I think in the end, there's a lot of great miniature painters. Obviously, not huge amounts of them, but there's pretty many great miniature painters. And so, what you like then basically comes down to style, not necessarily skill, because they're all so skilled and you know, great at what they do. And I just like Sam's style. Oh dear, I believe we run out of time. What's the last? What's the last comments? Chris, hello, Chris. The Lucent from Games Envy is also very good. Are we talking about? That's the lamp. Chris is giving a tip for a lamp. The Lucent from Game Envy. Buck Todger says Core Space is fantastic, and I'm confused now. Is that a lamp or a game? Mark says building a 6x4 foot custom gaming table with terrain will keep you busy. It certainly will, especially when you start doing other things as well. Henrik says, yes, I've looked at the Red Grass Games lamp, but it's unfortunately not available to buy here in Norway, and it's very expensive to import. That's the thing with Norway, isn't it? I don't know how it is. I don't know what kind of art stores you have, and I've never actually been in art. Like, this is just my imagination. I'm just thinking that if you paint, not miniatures, but just as an art, oil paintings or whatever. Obviously, you want good light as well. And I've never looked in an art store for lighting solutions. I'm thinking if you're trying to find something that is available in Norway, maybe there's like some kind of an art store, even if it's online or something like that, that sells lighting solutions. Could be worth checking out, because in theory, they should be after the same kind of qualities that we're after when we paint miniatures. All right. Hello, Gary Wallace. How are you doing? I'm afraid you just arrived at the end, because I'm now going to end this live stream. Thank you all so much for joining in. I haven't said it all stream, but if you've ever considered supporting a creator on Patreon, please do, even if it's not me. But if it is me, I'd be happy to have you. Congratulations to, let's see, Niklas and Bill for winning in the raffles. I'll write to you on Patreon to get your addresses. And I hope everyone has a continued great Sunday. And thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.